Good Saturday early afternoon to you all out there in YouTube land. Well, I'm back on the project here, trying to fix my screw-ups on the stain. There was one of my viewers, and this is why I post things like this, because sometimes I get a little help, and there's a fellow, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Alex Saganik, suggested using a Chinese bristle brush, which I have, but it's a little bit big for this can. And I just went over on the top, which wasn't too bad to begin with, on the side, on the inside, and on the top of the two shelves, and it's looking a lot better. I didn't do this yet. This is from yesterday. So all this here and this is starting to look good. I got this to do, and I got the inside here to do. I did the top when I had it upside down, the inside of the top and the inside of the shelf here. I started on the bottom, and it looked pretty good. So I don't want this to harden up on me. But this, I don't have a... I have a smaller brush, but it's a real small bristle brush. So this will go in, but I have to keep cutting the bristles with the scissors because they fray out by jamming them in the can, and the metal here on the brush just barely clears. It's kind of tight, but anyways, it's as you can see from this side. It's nice, and it's got a good finish on it. Now, I noticed in my video when the video I did yesterday, I noticed there's a gouge in here, probably from a pebble that might have been on the table saw when I cut the piece. There's nothing much I can do about that. It's a little late now. It's not a big deal. It's sticky right now, but I don't want to put my hands on it too much. On the back, I just left it one coat. I'm not worried about that. That's up against the wall. And that's not a perfect piece of Luan anyways. It's got some red paint or something on here. But I'm not worried about it because the inside part here looks pretty good. That's the better finish. Now, that was a darker piece of wood on that Luan in the back. So that's only got the one coat on it. So I don't need to cover that again. See, I think that came out pretty good. So what I got to do is when this dries a little bit, I got to lay this on the side. This is tacky yet. So that I can do this side and the inside of this part. And then I'll be done. This is darkening up to a point now where it almost perfectly matches his headboard. Because I'm not going to get it perfect. But like most others have suggested, I should have used a separate stain. In this case, it was, I can't think of what the heck this stuff is now. I have to look on the can and I get a magnifying glass. But anyways, I should have used a separate stain and then the polyurethane the next day, and that would have been better. It would have looked a lot better. I'm not too worried about the end grain here showing. It's, like I say, it's not a piece of furniture. I just want it to look nice in the house, so I didn't bother with the iron-on veneer like I did when I built my entertainment center back many years ago. Now the sun's probably in the lens here, so it's going to be a milky look to the video. As you can see, this is only the first coat. This is the one that shows all kinds of brush marks. I have used the foam brush. This is from yesterday. But see, that's pretty narrow. But I don't have one bigger than that. The next size up is too wide to fit in the can. So you can see here how that's not looking good. And you can see after putting a second coat on, using the bristle brush that Alex suggested, the Chinese bristle brush, which I happen to have, maybe that's what I should have used in the first place. Now, this stuff ain't cheap. You know, it's not cheap. But you try to save money, and the biggest thing is not only saving money, but the biggest thing is it's beautiful weather now. But in Connecticut here, the weather is changeable, very changeable, and we're lucky. We got a whole week of beautiful weather, cool nights, and it's supposed to be about upper 60s and about 70 tomorrow and Monday. So I have to work when the weather is good, when it's not too windy, and before the trees start blooming. And then you get all these little tree droppings down and all that yellow or greenish looking powder over everything, and it makes me cough like hell. When that stuff starts coming down, I can't do anything like this outside. So I gotta choose the project I'm going to do. Depends on the weather. Projects that I don't need to paint can be done in cooler weather, cloudy weather, even windy weather. But when I gotta paint or varnish or stain or whatever, I have to have good weather, and that's why I did what I did on the truck. So I want to get this done so he can get this back in his room and use it. And so I think 2 coats is fine. I don't think I need a third coat on this. I put a second coat on the top, and I think it's come out perfectly fine. You can still see the places where I put the wood filler in, where I use finish nails. Unfortunately, you can see that, and if you really look good, you can see it here too. And the only way you're going to hide that is to literally paint it or stain it so damn dark that you won't see it. You know, if I was building this for somebody, it would be, I would never get paid, because the guy would tell me to shove it up my backside because he ain't paying for a piece of crap job. But I'm building it for myself, or for my son, and I think he isn't too fussy about how it looks. So when I get that side done, and like I say, this has got 1 coat. When I go to put the second coat on this, put the second coat on this, and put the second coat on this here, it'll be done, because let's see, I did the top, and that's a little tacky yet. I did the bottom shelf and the top of the middle shelf. So the only parts I got to do here is this, and this. And whether I'll put a third coat on the top, I don't know. We'll see how that looks. But I did want to show you that. I think it came out a lot better. You're not going to get rid of this. You're just never going to get rid of that, because, you know, it's just the way it is. It's the dark area. I mean, this is the second coat on here, and you can still see that where I did the bottom and it come up here. And then I do it quick. I go boom, 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 and then just go to the next one, so I don't leave it sit too long. And I wipe it off with a rag, you know, when it gets like that, but that still don't do any good. Well, like I say, I've learned my lesson. I appreciated Alex for the tip on this, because I think this would work. Buzz had suggested that I should take a lacquer thinner and clean it all off. But then I'd have to go out and buy lacquer thinner, and I don't know how much that is. You got to remember, I'm on a very limited income here. So I got to buy lacquer thinner. Then I got to clean it off. And I doubt I could stain it, because the wood's already soaked in with stain and polyurethane anyways. So I don't think that would have accomplished anything other than I'd end up painting the damn thing. So I figured we'll try the second coat idea, which my intention was to put a second coat on this thing. and go from there. Well, you know, my videos are too damn long. I talk too damn much. You might want to gather around and get your refreshments and everything now so that you're not disturbing your fellow viewers. Alright, I'm going to lay this down on this side. I'm going to use a couple of nails so that it doesn't stick, because this is dry to the touch, but it's not hardened yet. And when I do things, I want to get them done. I don't want to wait all damn day for this to dry, but it's dry to the touch. It's drying pretty quick. I only did it about an hour ago, so it's pretty good. So what I got to do here is to lay this down onto these two nails here very carefully. Stick them to the paper here. All right, let's see if we're in camera view here. Yep. Okay, so now what I got to do is this side here. I'm going to give you a little different view here. I don't want the sun in the lens, but I'll move the camera a little bit. Okay, I turned the work around here so that the top is facing that way. Now, as you can see, the imperfections here, I'm not worried about under here. Nobody's going to be looking up underneath the cabinet. And the poly shades, pecan is what I was trying to think of what this is. We got to open up the can here. Get your view of that. Now I'm up against a brush that's a little bit too wide, too big. Says to stir occasionally. My tack cloth here. Now, before we do that, let's stick the cover on that. Take some 220. Just lightly, very, very, very lightly. Just, that's all. And a tack cloth. All right. Now, we stirred it. Let's see if we can get you up into the make sure you're in camera here. I have a very bad habit of being off camera. All right, we got a very tight fit here, but this is the next brush down is real narrow, and I'm going to be putting a lot of, you know, of this, and it's going to show brush marks. So we'll work with this. It goes in tight, and we do it quick. It has a chance to set in. I appreciate that. Good tip there, Alex. I was at the point of doing most anything short of stripping it all down and doing it over. I was going to put a second coat on this anyways. You know, when you come up with the brush up to the top here, it builds up. Just go back and forth like you're painting a house, and that seems to come out better. You know, trying to, with the foam brush, I was going like this, and like this, and like this. All one direction, of course, with the grain. But I wasn't going back and forth like this. I think that does a better job. I think that looks better yet. Let me see if I can get you up in there to look at it a little better here. Okay, as you can see, I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm not going to worry about that. You're never going to get that right. But, you know, you'd have to be looking down on your hands and knees and looking up underneath this thing, you know. So, and down through here, Never going to get it perfect because it got a little overlap of stain from when I did the edges, even though I was trying to keep ahead of it. All right, now while I got this on this side here, these are the two sides, the inside of the cabinet here on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, but I don't like to hold the camera and work. I have done it before, but I'll try to keep it as steady as possible. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put it on the tripod. I don't want people getting sick on my videos. All right, I'm going to try to keep my carcass out of the way here. Might not be easy. That's how it worked out really well just doing this. Now over here in the edge, you may not be able to see that. There's a little white area. That's where the carpenter's wood glue. You know, whenever you stain, and this has always been the case with everything I've done throughout the years, is you get carpenter's wood glue, even though you wipe it down, that portion will not take a stain. So there always shows a little white there. Now let me move you over to here so you can see that a little better, or maybe you don't need to be moved too much. Let's move you over like that. That didn't hurt too much, did it? All right, get you in here. Come on, brush, get in there. I know I have a tough time getting big things in small places. All right, so here we're just going to do the same thing. I think it's coming out better than I thought. Not perfect by no means. Now, Alex was saying even put a third coat on here. I could do that, but I'd like to get this thing back in his room tonight. And here, we still got a light spot here we got to touch up. And over here is what I was talking about. The wood glue. Right here. See that white area there? Well, that's where the wood glue, even though I wiped it with my cloth, a wet, damp cloth. Once carpenter's wood glue or Elmer's glue, any of that gets into it seals the wood, and you're not gonna get that out. That can't be done. So the only way you got to do it is paint it. If you want to eliminate stuff like that, you got to paint it, because the wood will no longer take a stain. Now, it's a wonder that this is even working. I'll tell you why. Because the pores of the wood is already closed up. It take the stain, and then it took the polyurethane. The polyurethane sealed the wood. I'm surprised that it can take any stain at all, but it apparently is darkening up a little bit. Let me just see here. I got a little light area in here that I want to try to redo here. Now this is the underneath of the shelves here, and you're not really going to see that, but since I'm out in the sunlight here, even going over like this darkens it up. There isn't much I can do about that. You know what, I got a little bit on the edge of the brush here. Maybe I'll just try to lay it in there a little. Now, that don't do too much. Now, you can't do nothing. The wood is sealed, you know, but that's all right. All right. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this back up. This side I just did, and this and this. But I'm going to turn this back up and put one more, I think, on the top. I'm not 100% sure. I just want to see what it looks like. I can't very well bring it in the house and compare it to my son's headboard because Obviously I can't handle it. You know what? I think that's good. I think that's good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Not as much as I would be if I used stains and polyurethane separately. You know, I've used Minwax products before, but I've used their stain and their polyurethane, but I've never used a combo like this, only on one other project. I used it on my Pilot TV 37 that I restored and gave away for a lousy $40 at that damn auction. I got ripped off on that. The cabinet was like a press board. On those TV cabinets, a press board, and the cabinet was in pretty bad shape. So I used like a mahogany premix like this on that, and it came out pretty good, but there's no wood grain to it. It's just painted press board, basically, with the holes for the speaker and the air vents and all that. If you're familiar with those TVs. The CRT was no good in it, but nevertheless, I should have got, it was completely restored by me. I should have got more than that for it. It's ridiculous. Now, it makes you sick when you think back, because, you know, you're forced to get rid of stuff because of the space. You lose your space because the house is being torn down. And, you know, and yeah, I had to give up stuff that I didn't want to give up. And my eyesight doesn't permit me to work on the small stuff. It's too frustrating. And it's no longer fun. When you're trying to solder, and it's like putting a needle to a thread through a needle. You know, that's how hard it became for me to get. Couldn't even find the damn hole in the 2-pin socket, you know, for the wire to go in. My eyes are so bad. So, anyways, I think we'll leave it. Yes, sir, I think we'll leave it. Oh, there's some weight up in there. And you see that damn glue? And you can't sand it, no matter how much you sand it, because it's hard to sand in corners. I think we're going to leave it. I think it's looking pretty damn good, if you ask me. And if you don't ask me, I'll tell you anyways. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. I don't claim to be a perfectionist. I try to do as good a job as I can, but you know, you can only do so much. All right, I think we're going to leave it. I think it looks good. You're never going to get this. I'm nitpicking right now. That's it, folks. Thanks for watching.